Despite all of this upset, more impresarios arrived. After the collapse of the Fredonian Rebellion, the American immigration efforts were back to business. In 1826, Benjamin Rush Milam arrived in Saltillo to apply for his contract. He needed no introduction to the Mexican officials there. He had already lived an adventurous life. Milam was a Kentuckian. He was also a veteran of the U.S. War of 1812. He traveled into West Texas and traded among the Comanches, where he met and befriended another adventurer, David G. Burnett. In 1819, Milam joined James Long and a group of men in a series of misadventures in Tejas. But 5 years later, he was poking around Mexico City looking for his next enterprise. He invested in a silver mine in Nuevo Leon with a Scottish partner, Arthur Goodall Wavell, who was also a partner with Stephen F. Austin in his colony building enterprises. Wavell had parted ways with Austin, who still owed him money, and hired Milam to recover the debt. Austin never did pay up. In 1826, Milam received an impresario contract to settle 300 families between the Guadalupe and Colorado rivers north of the San Antonio Road. Wavell received one as well, located in the northeastern corner of Texas along the Red River. Others followed. James Power and James Hewitson, both merchants in Coahuila, planned to bring Irish families to the Texas coast near present-day Port Aransas. Many of their immigrants died from cholera on the trip over, and the effort largely failed. Stephen J. Wilson was from North Carolina, but had moved to Coahuila. He figured he would entice 200 families to settle in what is now the panhandle of Texas, all the way up to the Arkansas River in present-day Colorado, the very heart of Comancheria. Well, he didn't. Joseph Valane and John Woodbury figured they could attract families to the Edwards Plateau and the Hill Country. They couldn't. Then they got a contract for Southeast Texas. No one signed up. Even Milam's friend Burnett tried his hand at being an impresario, with a land grant in what is now East Central Texas. Scotsman John Cameron and Englishman Richard Exeter also received impresario contracts. Sterling C. Robinson planned to bring families to northern Texas. Few Americans or Europeans came to fill these colonies. Mostly impresarios figured to make the claims and hold them, trade them, or sell them as circumstances and opportunities arose. They would speculate that their claims would grow in value as they became harder to come by. Then they would flip them. Others could bother with the hard work of recruiting settlers. Some impresarios had what it took to manage the hard task of bringing people to Texas. Austin got more contracts and attracted more settlers. Americans were coming to Texas one way or another. Before long, 21 settlements lay scattered across Texas. What passed for actual towns dotted the coastal prairie. Velasco at the mouth of the Brazos River and Brazoria served as shipping points for cotton, as did Matagorda at the mouth of the Colorado. There were also hundreds more settling close to the Sabine River and the border with the United States, contrary to Mexican intentions. Most of these arrived without permission. Thousands of Americans were heading to Mexican Texas, legally and illegally.